All right. Welcome everyone to this Team United X Factor training, part 2. This is second in a series called The Dance. The Dance is a very advanced training, and this is the difference maker, your mindset. The X Factor, enhance your mind, enhance your income. Now, I want you guys to understand the mindset that you have, the mindset that you develop over your years in business is going to determine your income. Your mindset is your X Factor. Now, this is, session number 2. And we left off the last session, if I'm not mistaken, we left off with a quick word on teaching methods. The teaching method that we have adopted, we've used all our lives. It's believe, learn, practice, and teach. Now, I want you all to think about this for just a moment. When you learned how to eat and walk and talk and ride a bike and all the things we learned to do as a child, we attempted it because we believed we could. All right, let's use a specific example. Bike riding. Let's remember back when we all rode our first bike. Some of us had training wheels. Some of us had our parents running along beside us, pushing us. Do you all remember that? Do you all remember when you rode your first bike? Okay, fantastic. And for those of you that think I'm crazy, I also have people here locally in the room with me. So when you see me turn and ask questions, it's because I'm talking to the people that are here in the room attending the trainings also. So we have one who remembers vaguely. Does anyone else remember riding their first bike? Lisa, do you remember riding your first bike?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Did you have training wheels or did your parents run with you or something like that?
My very first bike had training wheels, but they came off real quick, and my dad ran behind me and held the seat.
To help you with your balance?
Yes.
Okay. Now, here's the deal. Why were we willing to get on that bike in the first place? First of all, I have to believe for many of us it's because it was our why. We wanted to ride the bike. We saw other kids riding bikes. We saw our older siblings riding bikes. We believe that we can ride the bike. So whether it was training wheels or someone helping us balance, we had to learn how to ride the bike. It started with belief, then we began to learn, and of course, we fell down, we got back up, we fell down, we got back up. That was practicing. And yes, Glenda, it's because we trusted our parents would catch us or our older sibling, whoever was with us. We believed, learned, practiced. Now, how many of you, with an indication of yes or no, has taught someone else how to ride a bike? Niece, nephew, child, cousin? So Roger did? Most people. Exactly. Believe, learn, practice, teach. Well, Yola, we see that you don't remember riding your first bike. Stands to reason that you didn't teach anyone either. It is how we learn to do all the things we do, folks. Believe, learn, practice, and teach. And with business, there's no difference. The question I have for you, this is a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer this one out loud. But ask yourself, if believe, learn, practice, and teach is how I learned how to walk, talk, eat, ride a bike, and everything else I learned to do as a child, why is it that we get older and we stop using that method when it has been proven all of our lives to ourselves to work. Things that make you go, So, that was just a little recap of where we left off. Moving forward, let's have a quick word about this believe, learn, practice, and teach. First, you must convince yourself that your dreams and goals are attainable. And then you'll be able to take action to see those dreams and goals come to fruition. For example, the bike ride. You had to believe that you could ride the bike. You wanted to ride the bike. It had to be a dream or a goal, or you would never have backed it with any action to make it happen. You have to be able to visualize yourself in the act of succeeding or accomplishing. You must have a mental picture of your dreams and goals. In other words, you have to be able to see it before you see it. Okay? You have to be able to see it in your mind before you'll ever see it in your hand. That's belief. Without belief, achievements cannot be made. Okay? Once you believe, then you'll take some action and you can begin to learn. In business, you'll begin to learn new concepts, strategies, and techniques, including the latest technology, as well as the proven strategies to ensure your success in your business. Now, with the bike riding, as someone tried to help you balance, or with the training wheels, you began to learn how to balance on that bike. You began to learn how fast you needed to go to be able to keep from falling over. You had to learn how to get off of the bike. You had to learn how not to run into a rock. I did that, and I went straight over the handlebars. And it took me one time to learn not to run into rocks. We learned how to ride wheelies, to pop a wheelie. We learned how to jump over ramps. We learned many things just associated with the bicycle. But we had to take the time to learn those new techniques. We had to be able to visualize the concept of riding a wheelie and pedaling fast enough where you can keep that front wheel in the air and tap the brakes at the same time to keep your pitch forward and backwards. And some of us rode wheelies for pretty long distances. I was pretty good at it. But at the same time, I had to believe that I could do it first. Well, for most of us, why do we believe things? Because we've seen someone else do it. We've seen someone else accomplish it. We've seen somebody ride a wheelie on their bike and say, hey, I want to do that. So we start trying to learn how. And we get it up in the air once or twice, and then we have to practice it. With business, it's no different. Once you believe you can have success, find someone who's done it, who's achieved that success, so you can learn from them exactly what to do. And then you can practice what you need to learn the specific skill set to persuade, influence, and lead. Learn these techniques and practice them until they're part of you, till you don't have to think about it to perform. And when you think you have mastered those techniques, practice some more. Until they are second nature to you, then you won't be able to teach them to someone else. And that's when you know you've learned something, when you have the ability to pass on the knowledge. You know, there's a lot of people in our industry that consider themselves leaders. I do not consider people leaders until they have helped someone else become successful. Why? And this is just my thought process. Until you have passed on those skills, until you have helped build other leaders, it's like Dr. John C. Maxwell says, leaders, true leaders, have the ability to create other leaders. And until you do that, then you're just leading. You might be great at leading, but to be a leader, you have to be able to create other leaders. So when you begin to teach what you have truly mastered, that recipe to success, then you have to teach it to your group. because only through the process of duplication can you exponentially multiply your efforts. And that's when you get into 6 and 7 figure residual incomes. Because let's face it, if it were that easy to accomplish, then everyone would be at that level. There are 4 levels to go through to reach that teaching level, to reach that part where to reach the level where it's a part of you, and now you don't have to focus on what your people how they're receiving you. You know how they're receiving you. You don't have to focus on what you're saying and doing and worrying about your posture, your pitch, and your tone, because it's part of you now. You've done it so many times. Now you can just get on the bike and ride. You don't have to think about balancing. You don't have to think about how much brake to apply. I remember one time my brother, something ran out. I don't remember what it was, a squirrel, raccoon or something. We were in Atlanta, Georgia, and he hit his brakes so hard that he flipped over the handlebars, the front handlebars. Well, what it was is he had hit his front brakes because something ran in front of him. It was instinctive to hit his front brakes, because if he had slammed on his back brakes, he would have slid. Hindsight being 20/20, he probably should have hit both brakes. But since he just hit the front brake, the bike and he went toppling over. And again, that's because that kind of situation hadn't happened to him before. So when he reacted to it, it wasn't part of it. So it didn't go quite well. Now, today, being that he's ridden a bike for 50 years, he'll probably slam on both brakes instinctively. You have to become unconsciously competent to reach that teaching level. Let me give you an example. The 4 levels to go through to reach unconscious competency is first unconscious incompetence. This is when you don't know that you don't know that you don't know. You jump on the bike, you start pedaling, and you do great, and then it comes time to stop, and you fall over, you skin up your knees and elbows. It's because you didn't know that you didn't know how to ride a bike. This is when you really don't know how to do something, but you don't realize that you don't know how to do it. This is that belief phase. You just believed you could do it, so you went and tried it. It's kind of like people that join our industry. They believe they can have success, so they like this product, they believe in the product, so they join expecting to have the level of success that they desire without backing it up with the learning and practicing and teaching. They just have the belief. But until you begin to enter into that conscious incompetent phase, which means you now know that you don't know. It's like a wake-up call. It's like, wow, this isn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. This is when you come to the realization and admit that you do not know how to do something correctly. That's when you now open yourself up to be able to learn how to do it. As you begin to learn, you will enter into the conscious competence phase. This is the practice phase. This is when you now know that you now know how to do it, but you have to do it with extreme focus. It's kind of like that riding of the bike. When, mom and dad were coming with you and they were pushing you and that kind of thing, and we were pedaling, and they're saying pedal faster, and invariably we all went through it where they let go and you were riding by yourself, but you didn't know it. They usually yell from down the street, "You're doing great!" And that's when you realize you were on your own. Most of us fell over at that point because that realization set in. When you practice enough and you practice and you practice, it's kind of like when you first learned how to drive a vehicle. When it came time to back into a parking space, parallel parking, you had to turn down the radio first, and you had to, don't let anybody talk to me, I'm concentrating. It's that conscious competence phase is when you know how to do it, but you need that concentrated focus in order to do it correctly. When you continue to practice over and over again and it becomes part of you, That's when you reach the unconscious competence phase, and that's when you just know that you know. And that's when you can do it without a moment's thought, a moment's hesitation, and it just comes right out. It's kind of like when we role play with each other on how to connect with people, and somebody will say, well, how do you answer this question? And out pops the answer. It's because it's been done so many times. In other words, the practice phase has been gone through, and now we're entering the teaching phase and sharing that knowledge with others. And by the way, that's how you create a legacy. Until you pass on what you know, then your information, skills, and knowledge could possibly die with you, and that kills your legacy. So pass it on, teach it to someone else. Now, those 4 levels of conscious competency are unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence. This is when you now admit you don't know. Conscious competence, where now you can begin to practice it. And the unconscious competence phase is when you can really say, I got it. Let me show you how. As a summary. Now, this is the stereotypical network marketing approach and response. I could not resist sticking this in here. This is part of a training that Lisa and I used to do years ago. And some of you will see this in another training, but there's 3 slides that you'll see in here back to back, this being number 1, that I want to emphasize just how powerful the information in this training called The Dance really is. Now, you know the hyper pitch about how we can make you money, we can help you reach your goal, blah, blah, blah. And your friends, they can't get away from you fast enough. They see you coming, they cross the street. It's, oh my gosh, it must be a pyramid. Well, that's when you're still in the belief phase and entering into the learning phase. Once you really learn the dance and the skill set to lead, persuade, and influence, when you really learn those things, when you're entering into the practice phase and more solidly into the teaching phase, when you're unconsciously competent, that picture is a little different. Let's look at it. This is what comes with the abundance of the dance. You find that when you've succeeded and people know it, they all want training from you. They all seek you out. They never stop calling. It gets to the point where, like now, as much as Lisa and I love to do one-on-one trainings where we can focus and help people take the steps at their pace, we just don't have the time. There's too many people who need help. So we have to do it like this now, where we're doing group trainings, and even like now, make it into a video where it can be accessible, because there's so many people that part of our team that we're in 20 countries. Right now, it's after 11 p.m. our local time, but in, say, England, it's the wee hours of the morning. It's just going on, 5, 6 a.m. in the morning. So we cannot accommodate all the people that want to learn simply because of the time factor in the different locales in the world, learning the new technologies. Because we have this awesome technology, we can meet with people around the world and record the trainings. But what if we didn't take the time to learn and practice with this platform? We wouldn't even be able to do this training. And Raza, who's on the line with us tonight, he's the one that helped facilitate that learning process, so Lisa and I could feel comfortable in using this platform to bring this training to you. He gave us the belief that we could do it, and that's what he said. Look, I'll show you how. It's not that difficult. You can do it. So we began to learn, And then we began to practice. The more times we met using this platform, now I don't mind. I'll log on and I'll make the link and I post it, and here you guys are, because we believed, learned, practiced, and now we'll begin to teach others how to use this platform and interact with their family and friends around the globe. Everything we learn how to do is a believe, learn, practice, teach. If you embrace it and you understand it, you can actually quantify those steps. For example, let's say I wanted to learn how to prospect better. But more specifically, I wanted to learn how to qualify my prospect better. Instead of me just going out there and inviting everybody under the sun to come look at my business and we'll just see what happens. Instead of doing that, once we start to believe a little bit because we've learned some things, we'll begin to pre-qualify our prospect and ask them questions to find out if they're even looking for what we're offering. That comes from that believe, learn, practice, and teach. Well, let's say the person gives us an indication that they are looking. Yes, I can use a few extra $100 a month. Absolutely. If you could help me make an extra $500 or $600 a month, that would change our family's life. Okay? Now we're going to learn how do we speak to that prospect about what they want to speak about. And Lisa and I are creating a training specifically on that topic. And there's a gentleman, I want to say his name is Michael Bowman, but I could be wrong. I know it's Michael. But he made a statement. He's an advertising and marketing specialist. And he made a statement. Don't tell me about your manure. Tell me about my flowers. Since then, and his books and scholarly articles and journals have been received by the advertising and marketing industry, and his techniques are widely held. I mean, people believe in what this guy talks about because his information has proven fruitful. Well, his concept, don't tell me about your manure, tell me about my flowers, means don't talk to that prospect about how awesome your team is or how awesome your product is or how awesome your company is. Talk to them about making $500 or $600 a month. Don't talk about your product, your manure. Talk about what it can do for them. Talk about their flowers. How your manure is going to be the top shelf fertilizer that'll give them the flowers that they want. And we're going to create a training to go into that on a much deeper level. I'm very excited about putting that training together. Of course, the title alone was fun to look at. All right, let's move along here. What do we have? All right. How do we start to tap into that abundance? You have to start by building rapport. There's no getting around it. Without rapport, you've got nothing. Without rapport, again, you're just throwing it up on the wall and see what sticks. Now, let's break down rapport. Let's look at it. What are some of the synonyms for rapport? Relationship, understanding, bond, and connection. Now, look at these words. Relationship. Now, is there such thing as an instant relationship? What do you guys think? Is there such thing as an instant relationship? Or do relationships have to be built? They have to be built. What do you guys think? Instant or built? All right. Magda says be built. Yola says they need to be built. Linda says they have to be built. Okay, here's the deal. If it has to be built, then does it have to be maintained? Is there anything that you know of? Everyone says yes. Is there anything that you know of that is built, not born, but built, that does not have maintenance of some sort? I can't think of anything. There might be something out there that once built, it's permanent, but more often than not, a vast majority of the time, when something is built, it has to be maintained. Relationships, understanding, bonds, and connections are no different. If you can establish a relationship with someone, if you can establish a connection with someone, create a bond, how do you maintain it if you don't frequent it? Now, the definition of rapport is a little different from the synonyms, but it's an emotional bond or friendly relationship between people based on mutual liking, trust, and a sense that they understand and share others' concerns. So we see relationship, understanding, and bond in the definition of rapport. And quite frankly, as I read this, I'm noticing for the first time that it is the description, not the definition, but the description of connecting. An emotional bond or friendly relationship between people based on mutual liking, trust, and a sense that they understand and share each other's concerns. Do we have an emotional bond in this business? Is this business that we're all in called direct sales an emotional business? What do you think? Are we in an emotional business? Lots of yeses. Okay. I do believe we are in an emotional business because our dreams and goals, our why, is our motivation, and we are very emotionally driven to accomplish our whys and our goals and our dreams. Okay? So that emotional bond is our why. And all of us in this business have a why, or we won't succeed. So we do have an emotional bond. Now, a friendly relationship between people. It's nice to have a friendly relationship with people you're going to be in business with. That's one of the reasons why we talk about pre-qualifying and being in this industry, because we can choose who we go into business with. But as an employee, the company determines who our coworkers are. In order to have a friendly relationship between people, which is going to be based on mutual liking, whether it be we all like the same team or product or comp plan, whatever, a mutual liking, a trust in each other and in what we're doing, and a sense that we understand what each other's going through. We share each other's concerns. Is that or is that not what we do every day? Yes or no? Very good. Okay. So everyone's still with me. Well, if what we do every day is rapport, do you have the skill set that you've been trained and understand and know that you know that you know how to build rapport? Do you know how to accomplish this? Can you teach someone else systematically how to accomplish building rapport? Let's find out just how much you guys know about building rapport. Because we all know a little bit about building rapport. We've heard it all before. We've done it before, especially those of us who are married. There was some rapport building going on. All right. Above all else, remember that rapport is the foundation of persuasion, influence, and leadership. Above all else, rapport is the foundation of persuasion, influence, and leadership. Rapport is the most powerful tool in your arsenal. With rapport, all goals are achievable. Without it, your dreams and goals are a difficult uphill climb at best. Rapport is casting a spell on yourself and the person with whom you're speaking. You cannot only cast a spell on them. That does not work. You must feel it also. Rapport is being in sync or on the same page or connecting with someone. It is more than just understanding. It's you feeling what they feel. See, some people think rapport is a mutual understanding. It's not. It's much deeper than that. Rapport is being able to finish each other's sentences. Rapport is knowing how someone's going to react before you even say anything to them. Because you're in rapport with them. You're in sync with them. You know how they're going to react to something. People like people who are like themselves. We gravitate to people who have the same mindset as we do. We gravitate to people who like the same things we like. People like people who are like themselves. However, liking someone is not the same as being in rapport with someone. You can be in rapport with someone you dislike. I don't recommend it because it makes you feel all yucky inside. If you haven't felt it and you do build these rapport building techniques and you master them, you'll see what I mean. When you sync up with someone that you dislike, you start to dislike yourself. Deep, I know. Okay, let's get into some actual examples. Here's a quick word on intonation patterns. I want you to really grasp this. This is important. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. We've all heard that. There's a sentence. We've all heard this before. This is crucial when you are speaking with others. Crucial. Emphasizing certain words with voice fluctuation is a powerful tool. Very powerful tool. Notice what I just did. Very powerful tool. Okay? Placing a strategic or dramatic pause, I like to call it, after a word also creates emphasis and can help people understand the meaning you are attempting to convey. So many of us think people understand what we're saying. And that may be true. But do they understand what we're meaning to say? How many times have you actually spoken to someone and you had to keep rewording it because you knew they just weren't getting it? Yes, they understand the words you're using, but they just don't understand the meaning you're trying to get across to them. It could very well be the way you're saying it. Let me give you some pointers on how to help that. Using these sentences to the right, I want you to read the sentence through. I never said he took it. Not a big deal. I never said he took it. Now, I'm going to put an emphasis on each word, and I want you to tell me, does the meaning change when I do this? I never said he took it. 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 Did that change the meaning of the sentences to you? Now, I'm going to go through them again, and I'm going to add a dramatic pause behind the same word that I emphasized. And tell me, does it change the meaning yet again? I never said he took it. 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 Does that change the meaning of the sentences? It certainly does. I'll give you an example. I never said he took it. That could mean Glennie said it. I never said it. Glennie said it. Or same sentence, different emphasis. I never said he took it. Now, what does that sentence mean? I never said he took it. She did. That's not what you got in meaning from I never said he took it. Somebody else said he took it. So we're still on he took it. I never said he took it. She said he took it. Or Dave said he took it. But it's still he took it. Now watch the emphasis. I never said he took it. Ooh, now we're saying someone else might have taken it. Maybe it wasn't him. Now those are the same two sentences with the same two words. But with emphasis on a different word with a dramatic pause, it changed the meaning of the sentence. You all have to be cognizant of that voice fluctuation, that voice emphasizing on certain words. And if you put a dramatic pause behind certain words, it changes the meaning of what you're trying to convey. I never said he took it. Oh, now what am I saying? What do I mean by that? I never said he took it. Maybe somebody gave it to him. That's why he has it. I never said he took it. You can change the way you mean when you speak to people. You can change what you mean by working on your intonation patterns and voice fluctuations. Now, when it comes to building rapport, and we talk about these things, is a little difference again. With rapport, there are many different techniques. There's mirroring, matching. There's all kinds of techniques in building rapport. Why? Because building rapport can be uncomfortable. But you have to be willing to be a little uncomfortable to help others be more comfortable with you. It's about them, not you. Or you cannot accomplish your goals and dreams. Why? Because 98% of everything you wanted to accomplish in life requires the cooperation of others. So if you need the cooperation of others, then step one is building rapport. Then you have to be willing to be a little uncomfortable so they can be comfortable with you so you can get the help you need. Even if it's just teaching you something that you need to know. Rapport techniques work because even though the other person may or may not be aware of it, because you're dealing with the subconscious level, the other person is thinking, wow, he or she is just like me. They're fighting for the same goals. They're feeling for the same things. They're going through the same obstacles. They have the same challenges. Let's partner up. We're in sync. Again, people like people who are like themselves. Does that make sense to everybody? Fantastic, fantastic. Looks like we only lost a few people. All right, here we go. The warm-up. When building rapport. Now, this is going to seem very simple to you guys. But I assure you, I'm looking at the names of everyone that is in this training right now, and I can tell you personally that each of you have missed one of these steps. So although this stuff sounds remedial, pay attention. Because we get so comfortable with it, we forget that we're not doing it because we don't notice it, because it's not part of us. It's not a habit yet. We still let our feelings dictate what we're doing and saying instead of letting our business brain dictate what we're doing and saying. So this is the warm-up. When building rapport, you have to warm up to people. You have to allow them to warm up to you. Otherwise, you're going to try to slam people in your business, and you guys don't really know each other. There was no pre-qualification. You just slapped it up on the wall. They were willing to pull out a credit card. Boom, they're now your business partner. If that's the way you want to build a business, feel free. You don't need this training. But if you're trying to pre-qualify your people, connect with your people, and actually live up to your promise of helping them build something that's going to change their families' lives, then you might want to pay attention to these very, very, very basic things. The warm-up. A greeting speaks volumes. There are people who come into the team Skype room and do not say hello. They come in and they post what they want. And they expect the rest of the team to come answer them and help them. Never once saying hello or inquiring how someone's day was. You're there to service me is what that says. A greeting speaks volumes, just as large a volume as not sharing a greeting speaks. A warm smile, a hello, a handshake, making eye contact are all parts of a successful greeting. Now, how do we do that online? We say hello. You actually type, hello, how are you today? The reason why I know most of your spouses, those of you that are married, is because I cared enough to ask about them. Because I care about you guys. Lisa and I have conversations about Linda and Roger Pepin. Linda doesn't speak to the team much. She's always there when they go to functions in person, but she doesn't type in the big room very much. It's usually Roger. But we know Linda. We know Linda's supportive. We know Linda knows her stuff. Why? Because we know Linda. We know George, Magda's husband. Why? Because we've been to their house in Canada. We've talked to him on the computer. We've seen him on the computer long before we went to Canada and met him in person. We knew he had a long ponytail. Yeah, I notice hair usually pretty quickly. And I noticed this guy my age who has a really long ponytail. Because he's Greek. He still has hair. Well, why do we know George? Because we asked. We know Magda's kids. Why? Because we asked. You have to care about people. You have to want to care about people. We're in the people business. And building rapport is doing what? Creating a bond, creating an emotional attachment. It's more emotional than one's family. Be happy. Be enthusiastic. No one wants to be around boring people. Your prospects can be bored to tears at their job. They don't need you for that. People follow people, not companies. You have to be worth following. You know, we always want people to join us in our business. Are we worth joining? If I join your business, what are you going to do to help me? I know what I'm going to do for you. Everything I create, everything I do creates volume and income for you. What are you going to do for me? I thought we were going to work together and be business partners. If not, I can go find somebody who will in the exact same business. Be worth following. Be honest, sincere, and real. People can feel it if you're incongruent. And if they don't, they will find out later. When they realize you haven't done a thing for them. You signed them up and you haven't called me since. It's not good. That's not real. It certainly isn't sincere. People are uncomfortable around people who are inconsistent. Be you, not someone else. Just be you. Don't be anybody else. Be the best you can be. Okay? Find common interests. How do you do that? You ask questions and be genuinely interested in the answers. And then show that interest with follow-up questions. You know, like I asked Magda one day, I said, because she kept saying my husband, and I was saying your husband, and my husband, your husband, my husband, your. And one day I just said, what's your husband's name? So I could stop calling him your husband. She said, George. I said, oh. So George this, and George that, and George this, and George that. By the way, George cooks a mean goat. But we'll talk about that later. I'm getting excited. I'm bumping my table here. Just remembering. Whoo, that was good. When you show interest in people, they're going to open up because they know you're genuine and they know you care. Now we have the opportunity to create that emotional bond, that mutual liking. But you have to find out what that mutual liking and those common interests are. And you have to be able to ask questions and genuinely be interested in the answers to do that. Because I can tell you, people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. I know it's an old cliche, but it's so true. It's so true. Be genuine, guys. Ask about their life, their health, their dreams, their kids, their spouses, their likes, their dislikes, their successes, their failures, how long they've been in the business, all that stuff. Care about people. Learn about people. Want to be around people. There's so many of us that want to be successful in this business, and we're scared to death to talk to people, although we do it every day. If you spoke to people just to build rapport and stop speaking to people just to sponsor them in your business, the pressure will be lifted off of you. Build rapport. All right, I'm going to stop right there. Okay? And we'll pick up where we left off next week. So, thank you for attending session number 2 of the dance. And we'll try to make this available to everyone if the recording worked. But catch installment number 3. We're going to dive really deep into rapport and sensory modes. You guys have a great night.